SwoleBenji here. Today I'm going to talk to you about one of the quickest and most budget-friendly corrupted dungeon builds out there. And that is the Battleaxe. I was very surprised at the Battleaxe, but I have run countless tests using every single build possible. And out of all the builds, not only is this the cheapest possible build for corrupted dungeons, it is also one of the faster ones. Believe it or not, this thing actually clears faster than light crossbow, only by a little bit, but it does clear faster, and because it's an axe, it allows you to rat corrupted dungeons. And what ratting means is you just run away from players. If someone invades you, you just run away and break crystals. This build will allow you to rat amazingly well. So let's get into the build and the items. Let me show you what's going on here. First, we're going to start with the Battleaxe. Alright, now let me just point out real quick, this is the test realm, that's why it's all tier 8. You don't need tier 8, okay? If you're doing a yellow zone corrupted dungeon, which is hunter difficulty, you only need 4.1 items. And if you're doing stalker corrupted dungeons in the red or black zones, you only need tier 4.2. Now, I do want to say that this build is not for Slayer. It probably works for Slayer. I do not have experience in Slayer. I don't have enough infamy to unlock Slayer. Alright, because I don't really do corrupted dungeons too much. But, out of all the tests, this is not only the fastest, but it's also the laziest. It is also the easiest, because it has a built-in sustain heal. Alright? So, the Battleaxe. You want to use the second Q ability, Rending Spin. Now, as a new player, you're going to be using Adrenaline Boost, and if you're invaded, you're going to be using Adrenaline Boost. Also, Adrenaline Boost is being buffed in a future patch. It might actually be buffed by the time this video releases. Right? So, Adrenaline Boost will increase your movement speed. Now, if you don't deal direct damage after 2.5 seconds, it ends, but in the patch, you can use Rending Spin or your E ability to keep it going, right? So that means you can run for longer times. But, as you level axes, you will unlock Raging Blades, which is a level 70 ability. It will take some time. As a new player, you won't unlock this for a few days, but when you do, this will dramatically increase your speed clearing potential, alright? And this is what you would use just to clear mobs, and that's what we're going to be using in the video, but when you're invaded, you're going to switch it to Adrenaline Boost. For the passive, any of these are fine, alright? They're all good, okay? The Deep Cuts is okay for killing bosses, the Lifesteal is okay if you're having problems with Lifesteal, the defensive one is my favorite and the one I personally use, but if you want to maximize your clear time, you're going to use the Aggressive Rush. You would need a tier 6 or higher Battleaxe to unlock this, however, which I don't recommend using a tier 6, unless, well, I mean, you will need a tier 6 Raging Blades, but regardless, you're mostly going to be using tier 4.1 and tier 4.2. If you're high spec, you'll just use a flat 4, because it's the cheapest. It's literally like 1,000. Alright, none of the items I recommend, except for the Mist Collar, will be an artifact item, which means you need this little horn, but you can use a torch. It is a slight DPS loss. Now, for Stalker and Hunter dungeons, the Crypt Candle and Moizak, however you say it, Muizak? I don't know how to say that word. They are actually a DPS loss compared to the Mist Collar. To maximize your speed clearing potential, use a Mist Collar, but if you want to be cheap and use a torch, you absolutely can. It's only going to cost you like 10 or 15 seconds of clear time, alright? Now, for capes, you don't even really need a cape. You want to just wear a standard cape so that your item power is normalized and you get more energy, because this is a very energy-hungry build. If you want to be lazy with your boot ability, which I'll go over in a second, you'll use a Limhurst cape. If you want to speed clear faster, you'll use a Thetford cape, and if you want to rat more efficiently, like if you keep dying to players, use an Undead cape. This will help you get away. Alright, so let me show you the rest of the build inside the dungeon real quick, and then I'll show you a clip of how it works and why we're using the items that we're using. Now, this entire set is a budget build. I don't even have potions on because I personally don't even bother with potions when I'm doing corrupted dungeons anyway. For food, you absolutely want a cabbage soup. This allows you to run away and regenerate between pulls. Alright, without this, your clear time will suck, okay? So just use a cabbage soup. Now for boots, you're going to be using the Scholar Sandals, and the reason why is because of this ability, Focused Run, and because it's a cloth boot, you get more damage out of it, alright? So Focused Run not only lets you not be slowed, stunned, or rooted, which is amazing, it's also one of the best boot abilities for regenerating your mana. So let me show you, see these spikes here? If I run over the spikes, I'm going to get slowed. So like now I'm slowed and then my opponent's catching up. But if I use the boot ability and I get hit by the spikes, I do not get slowed at all, I can continue forward. So not only is this a good run ability to traverse the map, it will regenerate your mana at a very high rate, and you won't be slowed by the bats, you won't be slowed by the spike traps or the fire traps, and in a future patch, I don't know when, this is a very future patch, if you are invaded, they're putting mobs in doorways that will slow you as you try to run away to prevent Grail Seekers from infinitely resetting fights, okay? So that's why we use Scholar Sandals. It's absolutely cheap, it is non-artifact, the cheapest boots you can buy. Next up is the Mage Robe. Now the Mage Robe is same thing, the only reason we're using the Mage Robe, you could use a Cleric Robe if you want, okay? But the Mage Robe is the cheapest robe to buy, it also gives you the most damage, and because it's non-artifact, we're just taking it for the pure damage. For the active, you're going to use Frost Shield. You could use Purge if you get invaded, but really, just the reason we used Frost Shield is so we can be tankier, and it reflects damage. So let me show you what that means. When a mob hits me, and I have Frost Shield activated, that mob just took 42 damage, now it took 5, and another 5, and another 42. So you can see that the mob, it slightly increases your clear speed, especially if you're tanking bosses, and with this build, you can just face tank bosses and use your E ability to heal, alright? That's why we use the Mage Robe. It's going to increase your clear speed like crazy. Now, the Mage Cowl is, again, the cheapest cloth helmet we can buy. It gives you the most damage, and we have this little poison ability, right? This poison ability, on your next auto, when you hit an enemy, it's going to poison them. They're going to start taking damage. Like, I hit this guy one time, and I chunked him for 20% of his health. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but there's another reason we use this helmet. Actually, 40% of his health. The reason is, if you're invaded, you're going to switch to Force Field, okay? And you're going to use Force Field to knock enemies around and out of the way. And so, like, if someone uses Hellion Shoes on you, if they run up to you, if they're you know, one of the meta builds like Black Hands or Bear Paws, and they close the distance, well, guess what? Like, pretend this is a player, boop! Okay, well, it doesn't work on this monster, apparently, so let's... Okay, it's gonna knock them pretty far away. You can use this to knock them into traps or just away from you, alright? That's why we use this helmet, and for the damage, and for PvE, it's the cheapest one possible. Now, for offhands, the Mist Collar, out of all the items in Hunter and Stalker, this gives you the highest DPS, alright? It's basically just a way to get faster cooldowns. You can use a torch to increase your auto attack speed by a slight bit and your cooldowns. It's a cheaper alternative. Using a Crypt Candle does not give you more DPS until you reach Slayer difficulty. But here, let me show you the boop, okay? So say this is a player, close the distance. I'm just going to boop him, and then I'm just going to run away. And, you know, he's got to run through traps, he's got to run through spikes, he's got to run through mobs. And us, we're perfectly fine, alright? Now, do note that in a corrupted dungeon, you can't swap your gear. You can only swap your food and potions. That's really it, okay? So, let me just show you the mechanics of this weapon, alright? So, let me take some damage here. I'm just gonna take some damage. So, wow, lag. Okay, well, it still hit. I'm going to use my Q ability and stack up 3 bleeds. You see these little red teardrops circling around the mob? Alright, so we got 3 of them now, and when I press E, it's going to heal me. So, boom, I just healed for 319. But we're not going to be doing that against a single mob. We're going to be doing that against a pack of 3. So, let me show you. Also, you're going to press F to run, you know, in between packs and get your mana back. That's great. So, look, here we have 4, we're going to be fighting 4 mobs at the same time. I'm going to use Rending Spin, I'm going to press my Qs on them, right? And now, I only have 2 stacks, but if I have 3 and I press E, look at my health. Boom, I just got like half my HP back. Also, I'm standing in lava. And, yeah, don't stand in the lava, guys, I almost died there. But essentially, let me just roll a clip of me doing a dungeon under 5 minutes, and this guy actually reset. He's not supposed to reset. But that's basically the combo. You run up to the mob, you press W, you press your Qs, you press your E. You don't have to wait for 3 stacks, that's just for healing purposes, alright? Now, another way this also works is you're going to kind of treat it like bowling. Like, say I'm fighting this mob, and this mob, he isn't really going to move much, but I can stand here and then maybe hit both of them. In this case, I couldn't, or I can pull this guy. You want to try to pull as many mobs as possible and then hit all of them at the same time with your E ability. So I've got 2 here. I'm going to try to hit these guys, got them. So now I'm fighting 4. You know, just have your armor turned on, it's fine. And things will die incredibly fast, incredibly efficiently. And there we go. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to show you a full run now and explain what I'm doing in the video as I do it, okay? And that's the build, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Alright, so this is a corrupted dungeon run. This is in Hunter difficulty. Now, in Stalker difficulty, you will clear slightly faster because you will be doing more damage. The mobs will be they will hit slightly harder, but essentially, I activate poison, I just touch that bat one time and I can continue on. You want to use your E every time it's off cooldown. You know, pump your armor, stand in the lava so that the little lava monster takes maximum damage, alright? Spam your Qs, just spam all of your abilities. Don't worry about the mana, don't worry about if you get hit by a trap. As long as you're out of combat, you will get your health back. So this allows you to clear. So you can see that I'm trying to line up the enemy and hit the next one with the E ability. Think of it like you're bowling, okay? And yes, I know there's a drop over there. It's fine. You technically want to pick those up, but again, this is just test ROM stuff, so I don't get invaded, so I can show you a run without an invasion. Alright? And then, of course, I'm going to use my F ability, which is the boots, so I can regenerate mana and run in between mobs. You can see there I tanked the boss's attacks. And the reason we can just straight up face tank this guy and not really worry about how much damage we're taking is because once we have 3 Q stacks on him, which you can maintain indefinitely, we just press E and we heal 300 plus health every single time. The reason we heal so much is because our entire set is meant for damage. Alright? Now also, if you use your W ability, the Raging Blades as seen here, this increases your E's damage. It increases your damage across the board, including your Mage Cowl, including, you know, everything you do increases your damage. And the amount that you heal from your E is dictated by how much damage you're doing. Alright, so you can see how fast I just blew that mob up. Yes, you can blow up mobs similarly fast with light crossbow. Like there's a lot of builds that clears at a similar time, but the reason I chose this build to showcase to you is because it is the laziest way to play. You don't have to worry about your health, your mana, and I missed my Q there, but you get the point. Like it's easy. It's brainless. You can face tank everything. You automatically heal by throwing your axe at enemies. You can attack and move at the same time, which not all builds can do. It's just really easy. Like there I hit 2 out of 3, so that was not a strike, right? Remember, think of it like you're bowling. Alright? Try to hit all the mobs. You know, you can be a little more patient. You can see that my mana is starting to get slightly low here. And I do believe I'm running Limhurst Cape in this example, but I should be using my F here, and instead I'm checking the map and getting some loot. There we go. I eventually wake up and do it. But once you get the habit, your mana, you won't have mana problems. Now, if you really still have mana problems, you could use a mana orb as an offhand. They are slightly more expensive and not really useful outside of the dungeons, in my opinion. That's why I didn't recommend it in the initial build part of this video. But still, like, look how easily and simple it is to clear these mobs. You will not be dying to anything, alright? Like, you can see here, I positioned these 2 guys as I'm stacking them, and then I use my E to pull the 3rd guy, so he comes in, and then they all just die at once. I'm literally standing in the the burning floor there, and again, I'm completely fine. The axe one-shots the bats, alright? Like, I poisoned that guy, so I just run off. I don't need to keep fighting him. I've already got the boss spawn, and it's only been like, what, 3-something minutes in? It's, like, this build is simple. I want to talk about using the armor ability too, because on bosses, when they do their big chunky damage and you reflecting that, that's just a faster clear, right? So here the Thetford Cape pops, and here I pop my armor and I'm just tanking these. I just tanked 3 swings, and look at my health, it's getting low. It's fine, because I can just press E and I get a whole 20+% of it back. Alright, there's no reason like, not to run this build, okay? The cool thing about this build over light crossbow is that the E's cooldown is only 10 seconds, whereas the light crossbow's E cooldown is 15, and it doesn't heal you. So this build is basically idiot-proof. If you're not good at video games, if you're not good at dodging these abilities, this build will carry you regardless. You don't have to play good or dodge attacks. You can just face tank literally almost everything, and you can out-sustain the bosses. You don't even need a mercenary. Look at that. I'm standing in lava. I'm standing in fire breath. I'm about to die, and I just throw my E and get healed. It's that simple, right? And I'm not even really spamming the E. I'm just kind of using it every once in a while, right? If I was min-maxing it and using it every single cooldown, not only would I clear this slightly faster, but I would be slightly more healed. Look at that. I'm already over halfway freaking healed in, what, 20 seconds? Like, the boss never stood a chance. But yeah, that's the build. I'm SwoleBenji, thanks for watching. As always, be a bro and stay swole. Make sure you return your shopping carts, leave a like and a comment. Do both, it's an algorithm cheat sheet combo. And I will see you in the next vid. Also, subscribe, just hit subscribe. If you want to unsubscribe later, you can. Take care, lads.